This is the stainless catted X pipe. I want to change that to titanium and leave the stock mufflers. I'll show this on another episode. The mufflers have the 3.5-inch tips, which I don't like. They look too tiny. So I'm going to change these to 4-inch. You know, I have some Brospeed tips up there. That might look really good on this car. So I'm going to do larger tips here. Change this to titanium. Somewhere else I mentioned I made a heat shield here. Takes the heat from the header and doesn't bake the oil cooler, so I'll show that in another episode. Alright, 27 pound 10. So that is what I'm duplicating. It looks close, but it's not touching the floor, by the way. It looks close. So that is the X pipe. That's stainless. That clamp I just put up there because it fell off the other end. I want to get an accurate weight. So I want to try and duplicate that out of titanium, and I'm figuring about 1/3 of the weight, so we should drop, you know, 18 to 20 pounds here. So let me show you what I got so far. So this is where I'm at. I've made this front section with the X pipe, and those back pieces, they're kind of close to where they need to go. There's still a little bit of playing around. I was making that while it was on the car, just getting a visual. Well, now I've got it off, I can actually use that as a template and also test fit it to the car, which is the way I prefer to do it. It's one of the reasons we don't work from fixtures, because there's a cumulative error. Alright, so for a change, it's pouring with rain outside. This is the part that is probably the most challenging to make this. This is a flare that goes over a formed piece on the header. So this is what I've been building here. This is 3-inch pipe, and I bought a reducer that goes from 3 to 3.5. Well, the reducer came all the way out to here, so I basically cut the reducer in half, and this is also a titanium flange that meets that. So now I've got pretty much exactly what I need. I just got to figure out what length I need this to join onto my X, and then make the other side the same. So this is what I'm meaning right here. This has to go, let me get it lined up like that. So it's like a ball and socket, but as you tighten it, it seals on that gasket. It's not really a gasket, it's almost like a ball. They call it a ball and socket. And this is, you know, like formed that shape. It's kind of like the factory donut flange on a like a Honda B series and S2000 header. Same kind of thing. So this is what I've made. Now I've got to cut it here and then start playing with my angles to get this to fit absolutely precise. It's got to be perfect, or else it's going to leak. All right, so a little LHT after hours going on here. So these pipes are done, welded, and this part fits the way I want it to. The flanges fit up. I tacked it all up here to make sure it fit perfect. Played with it and made sure that when they're loose, they actually can swivel around, and it sits pretty much right where I want it. The pieces that I have will fit on here, and they're set to come back to here. Then I've got to build a piece to come back, and I have this slip on here. It's like the factory style slip, and I think I'm going to make titanium clamps to go around here like I did on the C7, because the ones that come on this pipe, well, even though again we're kind of nitpicking, these are heavy. I mean, they're pretty bulky. That bolt is really huge, and it doesn't need to be that heavy. So I got to build these tabs too. That's the support, and then the two bungs need to be built. So I'm going to change those and make my own titanium clamps to go on here, and I'm anticipating the whole thing to weigh, I'm guessing 8-9 pounds. So we'll see how it goes. This is the stiffening piece that is above the pipes on the C7. It's below here. I might take that down and do some heat reflective in there. I don't know if the titanium will dissipate more heat than the stainless. I'm not sure, but I might do that just as a precaution. There's about 2,000 8mm bolts have to come out to take that off. But once that X pipe is down, it makes it a lot easier to do it. So that would be the time. So it's 10:15 right now. I'm going to double check the fitment of these pieces, then I'm going to get going and work on this a little bit more at a later date. Alright, so it might look like it took 5 minutes, but here is the titanium X-pipe. So next thing is, what does it weigh? Well, the clamps, I decided not to build my own titanium clamps because, to be honest, I'm running out of time. So I'm using T-bolts right here. I have the splits. These, I shorten these to fit perfectly. I want to test these. If they work, great. If not, I'm going to put these ginormous things on here until I can build my own titanium clamps. But these probably will work fine. So I'll tell you what, without further ado, let's put it on the scale, see where we're at. You remember the weight of this one? I believe it was close to 28 pounds. So I'm hoping this one is about 8 or 9. Alright, so that's where we are. 8.4 pounds. So it's almost a 20-pound weight savings, I think, if I change those stainless V-bends to titanium. Believe it or not, it'll be closer to 8 pounds. That's pretty good. That's a 20-pound saving, and it's basically doing the same thing. Now, I did put 2 bungs in here, once for the second or 2, and also if I put it on the dyno, I can take this out and put a wide bend in there. And I put a couple of braces here just to take some of the flex out of it. It's not bad, but this stuff is 1mm, so the ends do have, you know, like a little bit of flex like this, especially over a larger distance. But now with that brace there, and then there is another one on this side here, it just strengthens the whole thing up. So I'm happy with that. I want to go ahead and clean it, give it a quick polish, and wipe it off and put it on the car. Alright, X-pipe is done. Try and move around my stuff here. So we are all done. It fits. Let's see how it sounds. I got my brackets here. I got my O2s in and my wires secure. So let's put the car down and let's see how it sounds. What do you think? Sounds awesome. Alright, so next thing is to change these tips. This is what I've been talking about. I think they're too small for the back of the car. They're actually a 3.5 inch diameter. But like I said, I like the mufflers so much, they work so well with the valves. I don't want to mess with that. Now we've got the titanium pipe, which took quite a bit of weight out of the car and it's changed the sound. Well, this is the tip that I selected that I'm going to change it to. It's the same kind of shape and size, it's got the same inlet, it's about the same length, but the diameter is bigger. It's a 4-inch diameter. So you can kind of see the comparison right there. And again, it's a subtle difference, but it's enough that it's going to change the look of the car. So let's see if I can get it side by side. Actually, so that is the tip. It's got the same look. This bevel looks like this. It looks very OEM. So I want to weld them directly to the mufflers so that it gives me the look I'm going for. I think because of the difference in size, these are pretty much going to touch. These are 3.5, so imagine a 1/4 inch on each side. They're going to touch here, which is fine. And then this gap will remain the same. So I'll have the same kind of look. It'll just fill the back of the car and look a bit more aggressive. So this is the kind of look I think we're going to have. It's going to have maybe a bit more gap here, but it's got a very OEM look, just a hair bigger, nothing obnoxious. It's going to keep the same shape. Alright, so I'll give you a comparison. One of the tips on the inside, you can see we're cut off. So I'll show you the new tip. See actually how much bigger it is. Right now this tip is actually sticking out about ½ an inch further. I might cut that back. I'm going to put them all on there first, get a size comparison. See how much different that looks. It's only ½ an inch bigger, but it looks quite a bit larger. So I'm going to cut the other one off, put the two tips side by side, and see what it looks like sticking out like it is. Okay, so here we go. The new tips are on. I think they look so much better. Again, just a little bit larger. Really does fill the back of the car. I think it suits the car so much better. And I kind of like the fact that they touch. So let's go ahead and put it down so you can see what it looks like from the ground. So there we go. What do you think? I absolutely love them. That's exactly what I was looking for. Like I talked about, there's a few exhaust options available for this car, but the mufflers work so well. They've been proven to make over 700 wheel horsepower, and the loud and quiet function works so good. And the sound, it just really is unique. It's probably the best sound for this car in my opinion, and those tips really finish it off. So that's what I was looking for on the exhaust. We have headers now, the titanium X-pipe, the 4-inch tips. There's a few little things I'm going to do to the car, but exhaust wise that has finished it off. I'm talking to the manufacturer of these tips. I spent a lot of time trying to find the exact ones, but these fit the car perfect. So I'm talking to the manufacturer to see if I can get more and see what kind of pricing I can get. If it's something you're interested in, get a hold of me. I'll see what I can do, see if I can ship you some of these. They are 100% stainless steel. They're not cheesy. They're very good quality. I mean, you can see them close up. They're polished. They're double wall. They're welded all the way. They're not just tack welded, so they're not going to fall apart. You're going to cut your tips off, weld these on, you're done. So let's go ahead and hit the key and let's see how this thing sounds. That's it. Look how good that looks. That is exactly what I was looking for. So cool. So like I said, the reason why I chose this setup, I've actually tried 2 or 3 different exhausts. Another exhaust I used on this car was the B&B, known as the Billy Boat Fusion Gen 3. That one looked good, and after driving it for a full day, I realized I didn't like the sound. When the valves were closed, it wasn't quite as quiet as the stock system, and when the valves were open, it had a really deep, almost echoey type sound. Kind of hard to describe. It wasn't horrible, but just wasn't as good as this one. Again, that's my opinion. I like this one so much more. So end of the day right now, I'm driving home. Actually leaving on time today, so I'm going to drive home and just get to enjoy this car, get to hear the exhaust, and get you some sound clips, see what you think. I feel like I was just doing this earlier. So the valve's closed. Hear how quiet it is. Just sounds like stock. That's what's so cool about it. It's just like driving a stock car. You can have a conversation, you can talk to the camera, you can talk to the person next to you, and then when you want the loud button, there it is. And you get the lovely crackles and pops. tips on the D cell, which is so cool. Those tips actually made it a little bit louder. It's kind of hard to tell. It sounds a little bit louder. The factory tips were resonated tips. These are non-resonated. So George and I were saying they probably will be a little bit louder, but the sound is very similar. It's got a very similar sound. It's maybe a little bit deeper, which again, that's cool. You know, it's the American V8 sound. If you love the American V8, you're gonna love it. So again, valve closed. There it is. What's funny is it has to build a little bit of vacuum. So when you close the valve, it takes like 1.5 seconds for the valves to close. But when you want the loud button, instantaneous. And that's so cool.